Gentleman from San Juan, the chairperson of the Committee of National Defense and on Labor, Senator Jinggoy Estrada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader. First of all, I just received a news feed with regard to a resolution passed by the House of Representatives just a while ago, and the title reads as follows: a resolution expressing unwavering solidarity and support to the leadership of the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez in upholding the integrity and honor of the House of Representatives in the face of intense assault from the Senate in violation of the principle of interparliamentary courtesy and undue interference in the performance of its legislative and constituent functions. Mr. President, if a leader is embattled or beleaguered in the case of the House of Representatives, it is but normal for the members of the House to express their unwavering support. And if our Senate President here in the Senate is also beleaguered and embattled, we, the members of the Senate, will also express our full support to the leadership of our Senate President. That's normal. But what I cannot understand is the phrase intense assault coming from the Senate. I've been a defender of this institution for more than a decade, and I love this institution. But what I cannot accept is that the title of the resolution is there, intense assault. May you please enlighten me with the definition of intense assault, Mr. President? Because as far as I know, as far as I can remember, if my memory serves me right, there was no direct assault coming from the Senate and towards any member of the House of Representatives. Maybe the minority floor leader can enlighten me with the definition of intense assault. And just a minute. And we violated, in violation of the principle of interparliamentary courtesy and undue interference in the performance of its legislative and constituent functions. What did we violate? I don't think we violated any rule. I don't think we violated the interparliamentary courtesy, because we have always observed it from the very start, Mr. President. And I think this resolution is an affront to the Senate as an institution, Mr. President.
Yes, Minority Floor Leader.
Just to respond to the manifestation of our brave and honorable colleague, Senator Estrada, who has always been, I've noticed that, yes, he always rises to support this institution or a member of this institution, Mr. President. Meron din po kasi sa title ng kanilang resolution. I think the purpose of the resolution of the House, which was passed, I think today,
Yes,
today, no? Today,
I understand
just
it's
this
today.
afternoon, is to express their support to their speaker. Okay.
And that's normal,
Congratulations
Mr.
to the speaker. That's why he is the speaker and he will remain to be the speaker. Pero bakit kasi meron pa po silang allegations that they are doing this, they are reiterating the support for the speaker because they are facing intense assault from the Senate, so from us. Tapos in violation of the principle of interparliamentary courtesy and undue interference in the performance of its legislative and constituent functions. So, as I understand the title, dalawa pong accusations sa Senado. It's tatlo. Lagyan na natin tatlo. There's an intense assault coming from us, and then we are violating interparliamentary courtesy, and we are unduly interfering in their performance of legislative and constituent functions. masarap po sana hindi na to patulan pero nasa title pa eh. So, that means they really believe this, Mr. President. So, I do not know what the House is after. And then meron pa po sila sa isang whereas clauses nila. I just failed to count kung what number this is, no? Ito na lang po. Whereas on January 30, 2024, the Senate conducted an investigation without a clear legislative purpose, specifically directed at discrediting the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Marcos G. Romualdez and the House of Representatives. Ngayon, di ba po, Mr. President, when I allege that a member of this House has personal or ulterior motives, bawal po yun, di ba? That's unparliamentary conduct. Ito naman baliktad. Sinasabihan tayo ng House of Representatives na yung investigation natin, although sa title, in aid of legislation, wala daw tayong clear legislative purpose. Okay. I mean, that is the unparliamentary conduct, Mr. President. And for the information of the House, in a few minutes, I will already be filing a bill to make complete, in my opinion, which makes complete RA 6735. So now it can be used now as the legal basis for a people's initiative. Kasi yan ang ruling ng Supreme Court. Alam na natin yan, na-remind tayo ulit because of this incident and our hearings, na-reinforce na mga resource persons na ganito nga yung ruling ng Supreme Court, ito yung kahinaan ng batas. So ayan yung clear legislative purpose at ito na ang clear legislative result. A bill will be filed which hopefully will now be sufficient to make RA 6735 as a clear, sufficient, and adequate basis for the people to exercise the right to initiate amendments to our Constitution. So, nakakalungkot that the House, our co-equal body here in the legislative branch, has accused us of practices which they are doing in the very same accusatory document, Mr. President. So ano ba talaga ang gusto nila? So siguro the leadership siguro of the two houses must have a dialogue. So maybe our majority leader can talk to the majority leader of the House, Mr. President, for an honest to goodness dialogue. Ano ba talaga ang gusto nila? Kasi the document, pagbasahin mo, it betrays something. They want something which they seem not to be able to state properly and directly, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I haven't attended any hearing of the resolution filed regarding the People's Initiative chaired by Senator Ivy Marcos, but I have been monitoring the events of the hearings that has been held by the Committee on Electoral Reforms, but never did I see or hear anybody or any member of the Senate accusing or assaulting any member of the House, especially the Speaker of the House. Wala naman hong binabanggit na pangalan ng kahit sinong representante ng Kamara dun sa House of Representatives. That's why I am picked because, again, the Senate as an institution is again facing another challenge here because of this resolution that has been approved by the House of Representatives, Mr. President.
So, Mr. President, if I may just a
Yes, please proceed, Majority Leader.
very short manifestation as I heard my name from the Minority Leader. Mr. President, during the hearing conducted by the chairperson in charge here in the Senate, Senator Amy Marcos, there are a lot of things that we were able to discover in aid of legislation, and that's why my question is, if there is a resolution calling for an inquiry in aid of legislation, is this considered unparliamentary, Mr. President? Because in that particular hearing alone, Mr. President, we were able to air out a lot of concerns, particularly, for example, Mr. President, how the Commission on Election would actually address the receiving of signatures, Mr. President. 2 days later, Mr. President, after the hearing, I asked for our provincial election officer in Bulacan. And she herself stated that thank God for the meeting, because right now, everything is under the scrutiny now of not just Congress, but also of the Commission on Elections. For example, Mr. President, there was a time, for a long period of time, that the members of the Commission would say that it is just a ministerial duty for them to receive the signatures. And then all of a sudden, the NBank came up with a resolution saying, stop receiving, suspend the receipts of all these signatures. And so, what is it, Mr. President? Is it really ministerial? Is it discretionary? And now, during the hearing, it came about that COMELEC has been issuing certification.
Tama.
The Annex B came out. And so I asked, Mr. President, why are we issuing certification? I thought it's just a ministerial duty. Now, you're certifying. Now, the word certification means you are doing something. It's not just receiving, not just a ministerial duty. You are certifying. Now, the question, the million-dollar question is, how do you certify? How do you certify? And it appears there's no basis on how the Commission would certify these documents, Mr. President. Don't you think it's helpful, Mr. President? I think it's very helpful. Now, on the part of this representation as a member of this august chamber, it bothers me, Mr. President, that our co-equal House, with the House of Representatives, would accuse the Senate of coming up with these so-called intense attacks, Mr. President. Intense attacks. I've been a member of Congress for quite some time, 9 years in the House of Representatives. I've never heard of any resolution like this, Mr. President. I am not going to file a resolution here in the Senate to congratulate our Senate President and tell him, Mr. President, we are all behind you. Or Senator Marcos, we are all behind you. I don't need to do that. Why? May isang salita ang mga senador. May isang salita. Hindi natin kailangan yun, Mr. President. The fact that we see each other, yung pagkamay natin sa isa't isa, alam na natin. Meron na tayong pinagkaisahan. Meron tayong pinagkasunduan, Mr. President. I cannot say otherwise with the other chamber, Mr. President, because, and I think this is the root cause of the problem, I think the leader of the House is not sharing the information that was shared to us by our Senate President. Doon sa mga pag-uusap, doon sa mga napag-usapan, na dumating yung mga pagkakataon ilang beses na hindi sila tumupad sa pinag-usapan. At ngayon, binibigyan pa tayo ng deadline nung isa, kung sino man yun, kung anong gagawin ng Senado. Tayo ba'y utusan dito, Mr. President? Tayo ba ay basta susunod na lamang kahit kanino? Mismong presidente ng Pilipinas, hindi ko narinig na sinabihan ang ating Senate President. I was there, Mr. President, during the meetings. Hindi ko kailanman narinig ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas at sabihin sa atin na ganito lang, dapat ganito yung timeline nyo, tapos na kayo, etc. And we are even talking about the soul of our nation. Mr. President, I take offense as I join the gentleman from San Juan in raising this particular issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, Mr. President, itong panawagan ko po, Mr. President, na although this representation will soon file my own bill to improve 6735, because I filed also a bill in the 17th Congress, so medyo familiar na po yung opisina ko sa topic and we're ready with our own version. But I think our committee must continue and finish the work, Mr. President, and file a committee report, ano talagang findings, and then if there is also a bill coming from the committee, i-file na rin po natin yun. So it's without prejudice to my own, to the bill which I am filing soon, Mr. President. So let's finish the hearing in aid of legislation to its logical conclusion. That is my call to this body and to the committee, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And on my part, as your chosen leader for this institution, I would like to say that it is very unfortunate that it had to come down to this. As a matter of fact, the last 2 weeks, araw-araw po ang press conferences ng iba't ibang kongresista na umaatake sa atin. Halos lahat ng meetings, umaapela po ako sa mga senador, let's bring down the temperature. Remember, I always say that, let's bring down the temperature of this heated political fight between the House and the Senate. As a matter of fact, in the last Monday's press con with the majority floor leader and the Senate President pro tempore, there were questions asked. May mga tanong, may mga katanungan po yung mga media na leading questions na mapapaaway talaga tayo sa mga kongresista. Ang palagi kong binabanggit, babaan natin ang temperatura ng away ng Kamara de Representante at ng Senado. Para sa ganun ay back to regular programming na po tayo at makapasa po tayo ng mga legislatura o mga bills na kailangan ng ating bansa. It is unfortunate that the other side, even over the weekend, nagpalabas po ng banat sa akin na itupad ang pangako daw natin na may timeline on March na tapusin yung RBH 6. Alam niyo po, although we are co-equal legislative branch, but we're an independent body in the Senate. We respect each and individual senator. Here, we do not shepherd the members of the Senate like sheep in a flock. Here in the Senate, everyone is free to deliver their feelings, their advocacies, and their policies on certain issues. Hindi po natin gawaan dito sa Senado na kung ako, utusan ko kayo na ipasa ang RBH 6 in 2 weeks, baka akong tatanggalin ninyo, mga kasamahan ko. Diba? Who am I to force my 23 other members? I am just as you say in the Supreme Court, I am first of equals. Equal po tayo lahat dito. And so, it is unfortunate that it has led to that. Even the media can see and say that I have not said anything derogatory about any member of the House of Representatives. All my privileged speeches and all my statements, and these are statements, hindi po to interview na uminit ang ulo ko at nagsalita po ako. All my statements and privileged speeches have been about the institution, about the bicameral nature of Congress, about checks and balances. Always about that. Wala po akong personality na pinapatamaan. Wala po. Kaya kung feeling assaulted sila, how? How? If the committee is just performing its duty, if Committee on Electoral Reforms is just performing its duties, they deal on facts. Very clear in the last hearing, the last 2 hearings, the facts had come out. The facts have been coming out. If there is a, whether it is for or against the topic at hand or the decisions at hand, so be it. But we are just dealing with facts. Now, how do we end this? I do not know. This impasse between the House of Representatives and the Senate. Again, many of our colleagues like Senator Angara and Senator Bato de la Rosa have already said ceasefire. As a matter of fact, I have not been discussing this issue and been telling the media, babaan natin yung temperatura para makatrabaho na po tayo. Parang ayaw po sumunod ng House of Representatives at hindi na po natin kasalanan yun, mga kababayan ko. Hindi na po namin kasalanan yun. As far as we're concerned, we are back to work. We just passed the PNP reorganization bill, which is a priority measure of the President. And in the coming weeks, we'll be passing other priority measures. Pero rest assured, ang ipapasa natin, hindi dahil lamang nasa listahan na hinihingi po ng eksekutibo. Marami tayong ipapasa ng mga batas dito na wala sa listahan, pero sa tingin ng senador, tingin ng Senado ay napakahalaga para sa kapakanan ng ating bansa at ng ating mga kababayan. Hindi tayo utus-utusan lamang na nandyan ang listahan, please pass immediately. And we take pride that we in the Senate allow each and every member to stand up, to deliberate, to debate on these issues. That's the Senate. That is the bulwark. This institution is a bulwark of democracy and of free speech. Wala po tayong sinesensor dito. Wala po tayong pinapagalitan dito. Dahil gusto po nilang mag-participate, mag-amenda, at makipagdebate. We take pride of that. And I'm proud of each and every one of you to stand up for these principles. Kaya mabuhay ang Senado, mabuhay ang ating demokrasya sa ating bansa. Maraming salamat. Please,
Thank you,
go
Mr.
ahead.
President, just an unsolicited advice para hindi na masyadong lumaki itong sunog, yung away ng House tsaka ng Senado. Because I've been here since 2004 and this is the first time that I have witnessed na talaga nagkakabangayan itong dalawang bahay ng Kongreso, ang Senado at saka yung House of Representatives. If I may suggest, siguro yung leadership ng Senate at leadership ng House, mag-usap-usap na para matapos na. Ano ba talaga gusto ninyo, pare ko? Ano ba gusto natin dito mangyari para matapos na lahat? Kasi balang araw, habang tumatagal yung away ng House of Representatives at Senado, baka bumagsak yung ekonomiya natin. Yun ang nakakatakot. Baka matakot yung ating mga foreign investors, hindi na pumasok dito. That's why I suggest, my humble suggestion is that if you want me to make representations with the House of Representatives, I will do that. Para lang magkaroon tayo ng settlement. Para wala naman masyadong bangayan na nangyayari sa atin. If kung utusan niyo po ako, Ginoong Pangulo, I can do that. Kahit ngayon, pwede kong tawagan sila speaker.
But that function is on the position of the leadership. With due respect,
Yes.
Senator Angara, Senator Estrada. And bukas naman ang tanggapan namin ni Speaker na makipag-usap. I just don't know kung kailan, but within the eventual future.
Maybe
I
a
think
small
we'll
group,
be
Mr. President. Maybe the three of you, Senate President Pro Temp, and the Majority Floor Leader, or even the Minority Floor Leader, if he wants to.
You know, for the good of the country, we will do
For
it.
the good of the country.
For the
Mr.
good of the country, we'll do it. As I said, no? Hindi po personal ito. Hindi po tayo gumagawa ng hakbang para mapaganda ang buhay ng mga senador. Dito, trabaho lang po tayo para sa ating bansa. So, for the good of the country, bukas ang tanggapan namin para makipag-usap sa House of Representatives para matigil na po itong bangayan na ito.
It's nice to hear, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.